Because you were pretty, well, respectful of course, you were pretty old when you started Bush.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes people, with the Arctic Monkeys, stuff like that, it's all, even the Beatles are early, late teens. But you were 27, I think, when you started Bush.
Yeah.
What was it for you? I think, what were your songs before Bush? Were they Bush-like, or?
Yeah, they were. The problem about it is that it's the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours thing. Whereby if you want to get good at something, you have to do it for 10,000 hours. And I guess it just took me that time. I guess I started very late.
The time? What age?
Well, like 16, 17. Most people start when they're 11, 12, practicing guitar in their room. And I wasn't. That was when my life was pretty much upside down.
Because of your parents?
Yeah, parents. So it was very turmoil time. So in fact, it fed my weirdness. It fed my darkness. All my darkness was formed then. In those years.
When parents get divorced, you even hear it with Amy Winehouse, that she started being troublesome when her parents divorced. Was it for you too also some sort of shifting point?
Yeah.
You were 11, 12?
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah. So it's a very painful time for a child. How did you cope? Badly. So, but that's okay. It's just that's how it goes. It's very difficult for kids at that age to not feel responsible. And then usually, it's too personal to talk too much about it. But it's just like I then live with my father, and usually most people go and live with a mother. So when that happens and you're separated from that, it creates a hardness in you, and yet a softness, a vulnerability on the inside, and a hardness on the outside, and an anger, and I was a crazy kid, like I went to the only thing my dad ever cared about was me going to a good school. Like he cared about education. He's always like, you got to be smart, So where I grew up, all the kids would go to local school, and then I was alienated from that, and I went to a better school, but then the kids in the better school didn't like me because I thought they were they weren't my people. My people were the people I grew up with. So it was and then I decided that all the people I grew up with, they just wanted to be criminals. They were criminals. And, so I didn't want to be with them. I didn't want to be the idiots I just met. So 14 to 16, I had no friends. I'd cut myself off. And I was very introverted and very messed up. So what happened is that when I began to write, it was always really dark and weird and painful, but it took me a while to get any good at it. I don't think I was very good at it for a while. I couldn't sing very well. They'd always say, oh, the reason we can't sign your band, it's the voice. Always my voice was always the reason, because I hadn't learnt and I hadn't practiced and I didn't know what I was doing. And it was always used against me. So one of my private moments, things in my life that I think about is that, and obviously there's plenty of people that don't like me, but the people that do like me, they like my voice, and I always feel so sad for that young kid who was 17, 18, getting rejected so much because of that. And I love the poetry of that it came around, that I just stuck at it, because I just refused to stop, that it actually became an asset. It became something central to what I do. And to me, the irony is never lost on me. I never forget those ones. I know people that didn't sign me when I was a kid. I mean, I signed a record deal pretty fast. I mean, I began writing songs 2 years later. I was signed to Warner Chappell, but for a really bad deal, and it took me a long time to get away from them. All that kind of stuff. They totally ripped me off. But I just wasn't good enough. I just had to wait a while to get better.
When did you, because you were saying when you started to write songs, the dark lyrics, stuff like that, when did it stop? I mean, sometimes people say, well, it's always for me, it's always something that is an infinite pool of inspiration. Is it for you too?
Yeah, infinite.
It still is.
Yeah, and also other stuff. I mean, it's not so much just about that pain. It's just the pain of life. I've lost people who are very close to me. I've I've had my heart smashed into pieces, and I have a great memory for those things. And so as soon as if I can just write, if I find a phrase when I'm in the studio and I'm in the zone, it's just me and my engineer and I'm writing, and I have the same guy I've had since Institute, so now 7 years with the same guy in the studio. He's invisible to me in the studio, so it's just me in there with myself. And if I just start a line and it comes out of nowhere, it's so easy for me to flow with that line. I just take it, and it's the same. I feel that it's by going into the kind of your darkness that you find the light. So it's not like I walk around like I'm a really manic depressive. It's just that the things I like, the films, the art, the books, other bands, they're all dark and they're all interesting. They're all about the human condition. That's all I care about. It's the human condition. It's so interesting how the challenges we all get and how we cope with them, like other people's lives. It's so wondrous to me. And I find it's the infinite source of material about it. I don't have any problem with it. I never had a block.